Hello, this is Early Lenses. My name is Lillian Agbeigbe. I'm glad you're listening to me today. October has come and gone, the month of domestic violence awareness. I hope you were able to do something to raise awareness on domestic violence. If you were not able to, not to worry. Domestic violence is with us throughout the year, so I hope that you'll take the time. Would like you to educate yourself and make sure you know the facts about domestic violence. Encourage your organization, your faith communities, your communities, social communities, to have an educational event around domestic violence. If you have some money, we'll appreciate you making a donation to a domestic violence service organization. I'd like you to advocate for changes in law wherever you are and support people who are experiencing domestic violence. It's something you can do all year long. Today, I want to talk about something outside of domestic violence. And I was encouraged to talk about this from two recent postings that I saw on Facebook. My cousin had a blog article that she wrote on widows, and another cousin who is a widow wrote something about her experiences surviving as a widow. And so, no, I'm not going to talk about widows today, but I'm going to talk about something that affects widows. I'm going to talk about a will, your last will and testament. I remember the first time I began to think of the will as a very important document. I was under the age of 16. But here's what happened. My cousin, I take that back. Well, technically my cousin, but really my uncle. We call him uncle. I'm Nigerians. We don't call all our cousins cousins. We call them uncles. So my uncle had passed. He was a prince, and consistent with that characterization, he had many wives, and so many children for many wives. And my father was close to my uncle, and we saw all of the children, and to us it was one big family. We related to everybody exactly the same, even though they all lived in different places. Some people lived downtown Lagos, some people lived in Ibadan, some people lived in Bendel State, as it were, and we all related with everybody. Well, my uncle died, and shortly after he died, it would be safe to say that all hell broke loose. Because I spent a lot of time with my father, I was privy to some of the discussions that were going on, and I was in total disbelief. I'm like, Dad, I don't understand what's going on. And this person is in this person's face, and this person is in this person's face, and this person can agree with this person, and this person can agree with this person. I'm like, what? And of course, in the midst of all of this, as all of the back and forth going on, his oldest daughter, probably oldest child, I can't remember, but the oldest daughter died. And yes, next came the stories that she had been killed because of all of these controversies about property and who gets what and who gets what. So that's when I turned to my dad and I said to him, Dad, you are not dying without a will. I didn't know that there could be so much controversy among all of these people. I knew that they had different mothers, but I was totally unprepared for what happened. But this is what happens when you die without a will. Now, in their case, we can say they all had different mothers. And so you can understand how challenged I was reading in the news after the death of Chief F.R.A. Williams. And for those of you who are Nigerians, you probably know Timi the Law, Chief F.R.A. Williams. Yes, well, he passed away and his children were in court over his assets because Timi the Law had died without a will. I'm like, how does Timi the Law die without a will? His four sons all have the same mother, and they are in court because they cannot agree on what their father would have wanted to do with his assets. You have to write a will, guys. You have to take the time to write a will. This is the 21st century. It's not a very difficult process. Of course, you know, my father ended up dying without a will, right? I practically wanted to go to the morgue to shake him. I'm like, Dad, how is this a good idea? And yes, and there's so many things that happen when you don't have a will? You can say you're not going to be here to deal with what happens thereabout. But really, if you love the people you're leaving behind, it might already be tensions in the family. You don't want to escalate the tensions. You don't want to create acrimony. There might be, people might contest the will, you know, but I stand in a position where I think anybody who's contesting the will is probably somebody who had their head in the sand. I mean, because if you take my case, for instance, I had a very close relationship with my father that was very well known. And so if my father had given me a little bit more in the will, even though I wasn't his first son or his first daughter, and somebody was like, Lillian, we don't think that you should get this much, I'll be just like really? You know, so the will might still be contested, but at least it's a starting point. You know, people have an idea of what you're thinking about who should get what and who should manage what. And if you've been having some problem with a child and you cut off the child, I mean, that child knows where things had gone wrong and other people know where things have gone wrong. But this is something that protects your children and protects the women. So when we hear about all of this, it's a different thing about the traditional rights that women are meant to go through. But in terms of they're getting kicked out of houses, they're getting dispossessed of, you know, things that they contributed for their husband to acquire. It's all a function of the absence of a will. Google is your friend. I mean, you can get wrong information on the internet, but concerning this, you can actually get right information. So this here is my last will and testament. Yes, I have a will and testament. It's a legal document because I went and I had it signed in front of people and I had it notarized, and that's it. It's a legal document. And you're saying, oh my goodness, Lillian, you have a will. What do you need a will for? Well, I do have an underage daughter. And I didn't want to pass away. And no. You know, I'm sorry to break my thoughts, but, you know, some people say doing a will is like inviting death. This was done in 2014. I'm still here. I haven't passed away. But I recognize the fact that I have an underage daughter and anything can happen at any time. And I didn't want there to be any controversy about what happens to my daughter when I pass away. I also have an adopted son that a lot of people are not very familiar with, but he loves me to the high heavens. So I don't want him to come, you know, after I pass away and then people start to look at him strangely like, who are you and what do you want here? Because he's been a very big part of my life, you know. And of course I have my older daughter, Lola, who lives in the UK. And I've bothered to do this. I did this without a lawyer. I went on the internet, I Googled a template for last will and testament, I wrote out my will and testament, and I took it to a notary public. And I had it notarized. I went with my witnesses, I went with my ID card to show that I was the person who was doing it. I was insane mind. I didn't actually go with any member of my family, so it doesn't seem like somebody was pressuring me. I went with some of my colleagues from work. I had them read it over, and we went to the notary public, and we had it notarized. And so this is a legal document, binding should I pass away. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't done your will, please take the time to do so. It's not so much of because, yes, you want your children to work for their own. The thing is, if you have assets in your name, somebody is going to get it. Somebody is going to get it. Now, you might as well have a say in who gets it and how they get it. And the way you can have a say in who gets it, because if you don't leave a will, anybody is going to get it, and then it's going to end up being used in any way. So please take the time to sit down, write your will, take it with your weaknesses. If you want to use a lawyer, by all means go ahead and use a lawyer, but get this legal document going so that by the time you pass away, your children don't have to have all of these infightings among themselves. Your wife definitely doesn't have to be dispossessed and kicked out of the house. I want to encourage you to please do that for yourself and for your loved ones. And before I go, I wanted to pass a comment on the Harvey Weinstein controversy that has gone on, you know, everybody coming to disclose all their sexual harassment and rape charges that we have Harvey Weinstein. So the most interesting thing happened the other day. My sister and I were talking and she said to me, can you imagine if people in Nigeria started to reveal who sexually harassed them and who raped them and all those things? And I say, yeah, nothing will really happen. Nothing will really happen. But even if nothing is going to happen to the people, I mean, can you just imagine? Can you imagine people coming to disclose how they were sexually harassed or raped. Food for thought. Think about it. And so what I'm saying to you, especially if you're male and you're listening to this, is watch yourself. Might get away with something today. It's going to come back to bite you in the butt further down the line. Okay. I hear some people saying, well, it's not only men that rape. Whoever you are, you're a rapist, you're sexually harassing somebody, watch yourself. Sometime in the future, disclosures like what's happening in Harvey Weinstein's case can come up, and you're going to have to be responsible, take responsibility for your actions. I hope you do the right thing today. My charge to you today, though, is to go out and make a will, have it notarized, have it a legal document that will protect your loved ones in the event of your death. My name is Lillian Agwegwe. Thank you for listening in on Early Lances, and I hope to see you some other time. Bye.